99% of men will not stay in a marriage if their partner engages in these 4 behaviors, and you want to make sure you put an end to these right now. Now, before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos where I talk more about how to improve your marriage, how to learn more about male psychology, and what you can really do to heal from within as well, so you can be the best version of yourself. Now, the first behavior you want to avoid at all costs is emasculating your partner on a regular basis. Now, what this means are these constant behaviors of control, of criticism, a lack of empathy towards your partner, and a sense of superiority as well. You see, these behaviors are absolute killers for men. The reason why is because men live to feel significant, they live to feel respected, they live to feel unique. And if they're finding that their partner is engaging in these kind of behaviors, what it does is it makes him feel inferior. And if he feels inferior, if he feels not good enough and so on, and there is a direct line of communication that is bringing that up on a daily basis or quite regularly, then he's going to say to himself, you know what, I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of it. I'm going to go put my energy somewhere else. Or it's going to cause him to shut down completely. Now, in terms of putting his energy elsewhere, he'll potentially go and spend more time at work. He'll potentially go and spend more time with his buddies. Or in some difficult circumstances, he will then go and engage in an affair with someone, which causes so much pain and havoc within a relationship or marriage. Now, I understand that for a person to be in that place where they are being critical, where there is a lack of empathy and so on, often it's because certain needs are not being met, emotional needs are not being met within that partner, and so therefore they feel like their way of trying to get those needs met or trying to get that person to change is to get angry, is to be critical and so on, in the hope that that will cause them to change. But unfortunately it has the opposite effect, and because it has the opposite effect, both parties are always in survival mode, acting in ways that are against on how they want to act, but they feel like that's their only option. It's almost like a kid, you know, like when kids are not getting what they want or people are being critical, what do? They rebel. They do the very opposite of what you want them to do. And it's the same thing that occurs in relationships, and we have to be very, very careful of that. So if you can make a bit of an effort to actually lift him up, you know, really raise him up in terms of, you know, talking about some positive things about him. If there are things that you admire about him, tell him, you know, really elevate him as a person, because if you elevate him, he's going to feel more significant, he's going to feel more special, and he's going to want to be around you more. Whereas if it's an environment where he's feeling criticized about everything, whether it be finances, whether it be kids, whether it be work, etc., then no one wants to be in that energy. And so they're going to want to find those feelings elsewhere. Now, just on a side note, there are some people who I've spoken to who, you know, are really successful in their career and often feel like their husbands resent them for their success, or, you know, feel like they're inferior to them. Now, just to be clear, there's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with women being successful and making more money than men and so on. Where the problems lie is more around the behaviors that the wife or the partner will engage in towards that person. So you can still make loads of money and do really well in your career and have a better career than your husband, but if you're finding ways to actually elevate him and allow him to step into his masculine energy, then you can absolutely create a beautiful environment for each other, and equally he can create an environment for you where you can step into your feminine energy more. Because in relationships, men and women, they both need to stay true to their fundamental core energy. So generally speaking, for women it's their feminine energy, for men it's their masculine. You need to foster that. Obviously there are some exceptions to the rule, but you need to foster that. And if those are fostered beautifully, then a wonderful marriage can occur regardless of whether one person's successful or not. The second behavior that you want to avoid is always looking at things from your perspective rather than taking the time to understand your husband or your partner's perspective in a more detailed way. What this means is, and it's a natural part of human communication, when someone is acting in a certain way, our immediate reaction is, I wouldn't handle it like that. I'd be doing it this way. And that's why we can be quite judgmental towards others, because we're only focusing on our own point of view. But if you can take the time to step back for a second and go, how can I learn about that person's point of view and really understand their world? that can be a complete game changer. And a simple example would be, he comes home from work, he's exhausted, he's tired, he goes and sits on the couch, but he doesn't give you the attention that you're looking for. Immediately in your world, you might be looking and thinking, well, you know, he doesn't care about me, he doesn't love me, he's not interested in spending time with me, and so on. But if we actually learn about that person's perspective, we might recognize, hang on, he's been under huge amounts of pressure at work, and it's making him feel extreme amounts of fear potentially. And because of that fear that he's feeling and those insecurities, he needs a little bit of time to decompress. But he will come back. He will spend more time with you as long as the right environment is created. But if he feels like all you're doing is, once again, going back to point one around criticizing and feeling like you're controlling him or mothering him on some level, then he's going to want to disconnect even more. He's going to want to spend time elsewhere, and he's going to do things that are going to force you guys to disconnect rather than reconnect at a deeper level. So take that time to really learn about his perspective, and that can be the starting point for really creating some extraordinary communication between the two of you. Now, the third behavior that you want to avoid as much as possible is too much heavy energy. Now, what that means is that it's a natural reaction for us as human beings to have negative emotions. We're going to have those from time to time, and some more often than not, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it goes from having a human experience to then indulging in that human experience because we're getting other needs met, that's where it becomes problematic. Now, I know that's a hard thing to probably hear, because I'm sure, like I have, been in some really, really dark places over the years. But I know that one thing that happened in my life and what I've observed over the years is that when you're going through a really difficult time, when you're struggling emotionally, sometimes what we want to do is we want to share it. We want to talk about those negative emotions, and it becomes something that we get addicted to. You know, we get so used to operating that way that it almost becomes a sense of identity, like a sense of who we are. And that's where it can become problematic. And if that's what we hold on to over and over and over, and we don't have a desire to want to work through those and heal those and really make a commitment to it, then that heaviness looms over us like a dark cloud. And it can feel very difficult to get over that. But what it does for the other person as well is that they're there to support you, but sometimes it can tip over the edge, and it's like, look, I've tried to support you, I've tried to be around, I've tried to help you all the way, and you're not putting the effort to actually shift and change. And I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to handle that. And it becomes very difficult for the partner. Now, this, once again, this works both ways. I'm not just saying that the woman and the people who are living in those darker places, often it can be men who are living in those darker places and holding on to that identity. And sometimes a woman will sit there and go, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I'm here to help you, but you're not letting me in. So it's really important, though, that people are active in trying to grow and to want to grow and improve, because if you have that intent, then the other people look at it and think, okay, well, that person's actually really making an effort here and I want to support them on their path. But if we're holding on to that negativity because we're getting some needs met in terms of, you know, sometimes we're creating this big problem that gives us an opportunity to connect with other people. If there are better ways to find connection, then you want to take advantage of that. But be aware of this pattern that can run sometimes within human beings. And to add to that a little bit, the fourth behavior that you want to avoid are the consistent and inappropriate feelings of rejection and inadequacy. What that means here is often when someone is not giving us the attention or, you know, the love that we're looking for, we can hold on to these feelings of, you know, feeling like we're not good enough and being rejected on a continuous level. That is a natural human emotion. So it's okay to feel those. But if we're holding on to that over a long period of time and we're not really making an effort to want to improve and to grow and to heal those wounds, then it's going to cause problems, because every behavior that he engages in, everything that he says is then going to trigger those wounds around rejection and inadequacy and so on. It's like the bucket that has a hole in it, so no matter what he does, it just keeps pouring through the bottom and it never fills you up at that deepest level. So you want to make sure that you're working through those feelings and recognizing that you are enough just as you are, that you are perfect in your own imperfection, that love inside of you doesn't get taken away and can no longer be replenished, that it is who you are. We are all perfect just as we are. We are all magnificent in our own beautiful way, and you've got to hold on to that, because if we recognize that we are enough just as we are, guess what happens? Our life then becomes a reflection of what we feel on the inside, and that is the greatest gift that we can possibly give ourselves. It is magical stuff, and I've seen it in my own life, I've seen it in my clients' life. When they shift within themselves, immediately other people start to notice those changes, but also we start to draw in beautiful experiences into our lives. But if we're holding on to that negativity all the time, you know, that's when we continue to draw more of that negativity into our lives as well. And that's all because of the law of attraction and radiation. And if we allow ourselves to create those beautiful shifts, amazing things can happen. So I hope all these make sense. I know some of them can sometimes trigger us a little bit, but I promise you, if you can make these shifts in an authentic way, then not only is it going to help you create that beautiful sense of peace on the inside, but it's going to create a beautiful scenario with your partner as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And do let me know if you have any questions or you have any takeaways from this video. Just make sure you write them below in the comment section. I'll make sure I respond to every single one of you. And if you're wanting to learn 4 really important feminine traits that you can really embrace, that men absolutely love, make sure you click this video above and apply these 4 steps. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.